In Friedkin Uncut, there's something William Friedkin said about being a filmmaker that stuck with me ever since I saw the documentary.
It's a job. Some schmuck who sits around here and says, I'm an artist, is fucking crazy. That's the beginning of the end of a career, when you start to believe that you're an artist. And instead of just striving for the utmost professionalism in the telling of a story.
Looking back at the movies I've made so far, I can see that there might be a common thread in the way they look or feel, and the stories that I tend to gravitate towards. But as I start noticing these patterns, it gets difficult in my future projects to stay focused on what's best for my story. Many filmmakers love to indulge in their own style, and worst of all, they start considering themselves auteurs. In other words, their work becomes self-referential, and they adapt their stories in order to fit their style. They just want to keep repeating how unique they are compared to everyone else without having anything new to say. What beginner filmmakers often get wrong, including me when I started out, is thinking that having a creative vision means imagining a clear picture of your movie from the start. And then you just tell it to other people who transfer it on the big screen exactly as you imagine it. First of all, that's bullshit just because of how many unforeseen issues you're going to bump into during filming that will require you to adapt your plans constantly. But even if you're extremely defensive about your ideas of what you want your movie to be, embracing the collaborative nature of filmmaking has always led me to much better results. My role as the director is most effective when the crew is not subservient to me, but first and foremost to the story. Don't get me wrong, I think the director has the final word on every step of the process. They make sure the direction and quality of the project stays consistent. But you're not at the center of it, the story is. And just like everyone involved, you're also at its service. Directing is definitely a craft, and it can be a means of expression. With my movies, I focus on taking the audience into a different world. In short, for me it's about escapism. I don't mean it like I'm taking people on an amusement ride. It's just about transporting them into a different reality from their own, whether it's fun, sad, scary, or whatever. Self-absorbed filmmakers ignore storytelling and interesting characters to preach their own worldview on everyone, or just to show off their stylistic exercises. Others might consider you an artist or an auteur, and maybe you actually are one of the most recognizable voices in the film industry. But taking this seriously can easily get to your head. Ultimately, whether you want to call yourself an artist or not, it's all about avoiding arrogance and maximizing the quality of your work through collaboration, which you might have a wrong impression of by only listening to self-indulgent directors and watching their movies. All film directors have a huge ego, and that's normal. You probably wouldn't be one if that wasn't the case, but you have to know when to put it aside for the improvement of your project. But who am I to tell you how to make movies or what to think of yourselves? Especially if you're into experimental films, documentaries, or other genres, you probably have a very different opinion on what a filmmaker is. If that's the case, please leave a comment if you'd like to share your experience.